council tax enforcement is unlawful.
Every year, millions are threatened with enforcement for council tax. You get a letter, then another, then court, no one listens, no one checks, and then you're hit with a liability order. But what if that order isn't lawful?
What if council tax enforcement bypasses due process and violates constitutional law?
Let's walk through the truth they never wanted you to remember.
Your constitutional rights still apply. Under English law, no one can be penalised or deprived of property without due process of law. That's not a slogan. It's the highest legal standard in this country, and it is still enforced today. Magna Carta 1297. No free man shall be imprisoned, exiled, or deprived of property or liberty, except by the lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land. Justice shall not be sold, denied, or delayed. The observance of the due process of law, 1368. No man shall be compelled to answer without being formally presented before a court or through lawful process under the law of the land, and if anything is done to the contrary, it shall be void in law and treated as legal error. Bill of Rights, 1688. 1 William and Mary, Session 2, Chapter 2. Any fine or penalty issued before a lawful conviction is illegal and void. The law does not allow punishment before judgment. And as confirmed in Thoburn versus Sunderland City Council, 2002, the Metric Martyrs case, constitutional statutes cannot be impliedly repealed. They are the highest law in the land. That means the Local Government Finance Act 1992 and the council tax regulations must comply with these higher protections. They cannot override them. What really happens in court? You're told you'll be taken to court. You expect a judge, a hearing, a chance to defend yourself. But here's what really happens. The council sends a spreadsheet, hundreds, sometimes thousands of names. No one appears in person. No evidence is examined. No judgment is made. And yet they call the result a liability order. Under Regulation 34-6 of the Council Tax Regulations 1992, the court must be satisfied the amount has become payable. That is a judicial function. But there's no hearing, no judicial act, and no lawful record. In Leighton versus Bristow and Souter, the court found that the council could not produce any court-issued record of the liability order. What they presented was just an administrative list, not a sealed judicial judgment. That's not due process. That's not justice.
Regulation 35, subsection 3 confirms it.
Regulation 35, subsection 3, still in force today, says it is not to be treated as a sum adjudged to be paid by order of the court. In plain English, it's not a court judgment. So how can it be enforced? It can't, not lawfully. Yet every year, enforcement agents act as if the debt was decided by a judge, and the council helps them do it by generating their own printouts, claiming these are orders, even though they're just internal documents, never sealed by a court. No Rule 66 record, no court minute, no judicial signature, nothing.
Why enforcement is void? Here's the trap. Regulation 49 allows councils to issue bankruptcy petitions. Regulation 50 allows charging orders, but both assume that a valid court debt exists. And yet, Regulation 35, subsection 3 confirms it's not a court-ordered sum. So, here's the constitutional contradiction. The Local Government Finance Act 1992, the parent law, does not create a new class of judicially enforceable debt. And regulations can't do what Parliament never authorised. If there's no lawful court judgment, then there's no debt that can be enforced through bankruptcy or charging orders. No enforcement is lawful where no due process has occurred. This was never about the money. This was never about unpaid tax. It was about forgetting the law, forgetting that in England, the Constitution still binds the state, still protects the people, still reigns supreme. And it's not too late to remember that, because if they had followed the law, they wouldn't be relying on fake orders, rubber-stamped lists and intimidation. You don't need to raise your voice. You only need to stand in the truth. So now you know the so-called enforcement of council tax isn't just questionable, it's constitutionally unsound. This isn't about dodging responsibility. It's about demanding that the rules, their rules, are actually followed. Because at the end of the day, due process isn't optional, it's the foundation.
Well, folks, there you have it. Please, if this video opened your eyes or even just made you think twice, go ahead and give it a thumbs up to let us know we're on the right track here. Also, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's remind them the law still belongs to the people. Always has, always will.